Ethel, the Mayor LaValle asked me to give her regret. She's in Toronto at a housing and homelessness symposium. So in her stead, I am chairing the meeting this morning. Do a roll call first.
Mayor LaValle, we know she's not here. Councillor Collins.
Present.
Councillor Florence.
Here.
Councillor Kuyak.
Here.
Councillor Pigeon.
Here.
Councillor Rodnick.
Here.
Councillor Sydock.
Here.
Thank you. I'm going to read the land acknowledgement now. We acknowledge that we are gathered on the unceded traditional territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe people, specifically the Madawaskarini people of the Madawaska River. We further acknowledge that the Algonquin people have been stewards of this land since time immemorial, and we strive to treat the land along with the area, with the flora and fauna it supports, the people, their customs and traditions with honor and respect. Today, this area is home to all walks of life, and we acknowledge the shared opportunities and responsibilities to live, work, and survive within this beautiful territory. Chi Miigwech, all my relations. Are there any additions or amendments to the agenda? None noted. We'll move on to a motion. This is that for the Corporation of Township of South Algonquin adopts the agenda. Can I have a mover? I'll move Councillor Rodnick, seconded.
I'll second it.
Councillor Kuyak had her hand up first. I'll read the motion. The Council for the Corporation of the Township of South Algonquin adopts the agenda as circulated for the regular council meeting of May the 3rd, 2023. Can I have a show of hands, please? All in favor? With the matters before us today, does anybody wish to disclose a pecuniary interest? Councillor Rodnick?
I do not have a pecuniary interest. I have a conflict of interest. I am on the board of directors for a delegation.
Okay, we'll note that. I don't think there's any motions or anything coming out of this, so it's really irrelevant. Okay, we're at the point to the Valley Manor, the redevelopment update presentation, and I will give people from Valley Manor the floor. Go ahead.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you very much. I'm Tricia Delorier. I'm the CEO here at Valley Manor, and I have Kathy Marion, our board chair, with us, and Stacey McDonald, who is our director of HR and finance. And we're very delighted to be here today to just share our key milestones with our redevelopment project and update you on where we are and where we plan on going and some timeframes. We felt this was very important information to get out to the municipalities. So without further ado, I'm going to start. I will apologize. My internet in Renfrew isn't working, so I'm on my cell phone. And I'm going to be looking rather on my paper for reference and as opposed to on the presentation board. So I guess the presentation board's being shared there. Somebody's running the, I'll just speak. I'll let you know when to change the slide. Thank you so much. So if you could move forward to the next slide, I'd appreciate that. So Valley Manor has been doing redevelopment for quite some time now. It's been a long journey. However, that's to be expected when you're looking at rebuilding the largest redevelopment project in Barry's Bay, such as a 96-bed long-term care facility. So back in 2007 to 17, between those years, there was 10 years of preparation, and some of this was prior to my time. And that included some feasibility studies, exploration, financial analysis, and the redevelopment journey was well underway at that point. If anybody would like, we have a more detailed document to provide that information, and we'd be happy to share it with you. It was just too detailed to put all in this document. So moving along to 2017 is then when we decided that we needed to form a redevelopment committee. Didn't just keep it in-house. We wanted to pull in the community and partners and families. We also thought, you know, for the best interest of the fundraising component, that we should be partnering with a foundation. We couldn't really rely on our small auxiliary in-house to raise the millions that were required for the community components. So that's when we moved forward to partner with St. Francis Healthcare Foundation, which now is called St. Francis Valley Healthcare Foundation. And they are a three-prong healthcare fundraising organization, and they raise money for Valley Manor, for our hospice, and for St. Francis Memorial Hospital. From that point, you know, we moved on to development of preliminary financial plans based on benchmarks within the long-term care sector in Ontario, and we developed our work plan. The board of directors at the time approved everything to move forward to our next steps. So in order, you know, most long-term care homes are built in pods of 32. Our current facility is 90 beds. So we decided we needed some more licenses. We, you know, ultimately we would have liked to have, you know, 120 beds. However, we were only approved for 6 more, which give us 96 beds. So we've got 6 new licenses in addition to our 90. And that will give us 3 pods of 32 beds to make it a 96 bed long-term care home for the catchment area. So working alongside the foundation, we moved on to a feasibility study because we felt we needed to get a little bit more information and background on the donor capacity for the fundraising. And there was a feasibility study completed by the foundation and an external company. And that was in the works during this process as well. And that included interviews with the community partners, the municipality in Barry's Bay, and the like. So all that while that was happening, we felt, you know, listening to people in our development committee, listening to the community, listening to the needs of the community, we thought we would move beside the hospital. Sherwood Public School went up for sale, closed, and we worked with our municipality. They in turn purchased it because there's an actual process, as you all know, that the municipality has more right to purchase than the long-term care home. We were down lower on the order. So we approached the municipality, they purchased the land for us, and then we had an agreement to purchase it from the municipality. So that was an excellent help. So fast forwarding along, we have this new property, Sherwood Public School. We want to, you know, work with the hospital. We want to work with our healthcare partners, and we want to create and work with the vision of the Ministry of Health, the LIN at the time, and the community to have a little healthcare village. So that was very exciting. And we moved along and signed our development agreement with the Ministry of Health, which was a big step. Signing the development agreement is a big step because you have to show a lot of, you know, work and go through a lot of processes to show that you've done your due diligence and completed a lot of steps. So at that point, we went to tender for prime consultants and project managers for the project. And this was all in 2017. And we ended up successfully obtaining Colliers project leaders and Hoban architects to work alongside us to complete this project. And then there was a site selection study and consultation with stakeholders in the community. And we actually included our residents, our families, and our staff in these meetings. This went on over a course of 6 months. And we had everybody involved in the planning of the new build and what worked from a functional programming perspective. You know, the staff had their input, the residents, the families, even our municipality, the community, and we all had a piece in planning the designs. So that was 2017. It was fast and furious, and you know, we were well on our way to getting this project underway and this building built. 2018 comes along, everything was completed. The master plan was completed, and we started putting on looking at different funding envelopes, different ways to make this feasible. And one of the areas that was an area that really needs to be looked at in order to leave us additional monies to save for the redevelopment was the current mortgage of the facility. The current mortgage was really weighing us down. So what we ended up doing with Canadian Mortgaging Housing Corporation is we ended up working out a plan and paying off the mortgage from the existing funds that we had from our investments. So we paid off the mortgage, $1.2 million with our investments, and now we are free and clear of all mortgage payments. So that really gave us a good jump start on putting money aside for more equity. Next process, we did approach the county of Renfrew because we thought maybe this could help us, get the facility up faster. The county of Renfrew obviously has 2 other municipal homes, Miramichi and Bontcher Manor. And we thought, let's see if they want to support a 3rd home. I had to turn over every stone. And this would have given us another 325,000 plus subsidy per year to go into our financial plans. But unfortunately, they didn't have the appetite and it wasn't approved. And that's understandable, but we had to try. So all during that was happening, we had the working drawings completed, value engineering exercises completed to reduce the cost. We did some peer exercises with another consultation company to make sure we had the price as low as possible, but it's still meeting all of the long-term care design standards. The fundraising at that point then did come to an end because the foundation did 3 years of fundraising. And the foundation, if you have any questions about the fundraising component, we'd be happy to take those, but they have a preference to answer those questions on their own about their plans. But they were very successful at raising $1.2 million for Valley Manor and the new build, which was a big feat in the small community that we're in. And the community stepped up, and we couldn't be more thrilled about those funds that were raised. At that point, we decided to move forward with applying for our Infrastructure Ontario loan program, but it seemed that we couldn't get approved yet for the entire amount we needed, and it seemed out of reach. So we had to go back to the drawing board, and that was at the end of 2018. We approached the Ontario Financing Authority as well, because I know a few other homes such as Armprior and Deep River, they approached them and they were successful. But unfortunately, because we're not for profit standalone, they don't provide loans to those homes. So that is another challenge that Valley Manor had to face. Fast forward along to 2019, 2021, there's the pandemic. During that time, we ended up, while everything was sitting still, we demolished the school so that now we have the land ready to roll. We updated the business plan and the financial model because the costs were increasing. And unfortunately, the project has escalated to over $50 million due to the pandemic, supply chain issues, and soaring construction costs. Also, during that time, we partnered with the hospital, St. Francis Memorial Hospital, and we purchased 25 acres of land from the Shalas around the hospital so that we weren't landlocked with our vision of growing into a healthcare facility. So, we didn't waste time. It may be in the pandemic, and the pandemic did push the redevelopment to the side somewhat, but we were still working at moving forward in the areas that we possibly could by purchasing the land and demolishing the school. So at this point, our goal is for 2023 we're currently working on the refresh, because from the pandemic has come a new IPAC model, and that is IPAC is infection prevention and control. And we have to refigure the home to meet more of the IPAC policies. So we have to go back to the drawing board, which we're currently doing right now, and adding a lot of the infection prevention and control pieces in for future, if there's any further pandemics. They want the buildings to be set up and we don't have to reconfigure during the middle of any kind of outbreaks. We're currently in the process of finalizing our funding, and as soon as that is all finished with updating the plan and finalizing the funding, we'll be going to the ministry to approve our plans, our refresh plans, and then after that, it would be going to tender. Moving to 2024, if tenders come through and everything is approved, we would be doing construction, and that takes about 18 to 24 months for this project. And then our goal is to have everything finished by the end of 2025 and transferring existing residents to the new Valley Manor. So that's everything in a nutshell, just a quick summary. If you could go through to the next slide, please. That's just part of the promotion. I thought it was a positive slide to put in there for when we demolish Sherwood. We can go to the next slide. These are just some drawings, some of the functional programs and views of what we have come up with, and they are very good drawings, and they will remain the plans. But as I said, we just have to tweak some of the internal makings of the home. If you look at that, looking forward, those are the medical buildings in the white that are beside the hospital. So we would be located at the back of the street, facing forward. And the extra land that we purchased is all around the back and to the right of our building. You can go to move it up a little, please. And these are just some drawings as well of that would be our internal courtyard. And we tried to model the current design as best we can, featuring a woodsy stone wood type of feel for the area, because that is what the residents of the local area have grown up in and know, and we want to keep that feel. We currently have deer looking in the window, and we hope that happens over at the new site as well. So that is our courtyard where the residents will be able to go outside, and obviously it would be contained. And then we have the leasable space that we plan on having, and the rear parking, and there's plenty of parking spaces put into these designs. Next, please. Okay, so I just want to give you, some of the impacts of COVID on the best practices. And these are the things that we're looking at for the IPAC designs. And everything that is highlighted in darker font are the areas that we need to update to support the new IPAC procedures, which is causing a little bit more of a delay because we want to do it right and go back to the drawing board. So I won't go through everything step by step, but you can see we have to increase some of the bedroom sizes and the storage. We have to have a screening space actually made when you come into the facilities now. We have to provide more storage for personal protective equipment, more personal laundry space, and actually make a few spaces actually larger because of the actual physical distancing that everybody needs to do from staff right through to residents. So I'll just leave that for you to take a look at. And then if we move forward to the next slide, this is the overlay of the 2018 plans that were ready to go with the ministry, but now we have to go back to the drawing board. It basically just shows you, the dashed line shows you what the 2018 plans are. Post-COVID lines show you what we need to add. And there's obviously going to be additional square footage and just quite a few changes. They're not huge, but they definitely do cost time and money to go back to the drawing board. Moving right along to the next slide. Just wanted to give you a few positive facts here about the shared opportunity that we have with the hospital, and speaking about the partnership and the purchase of land and building beside the hospital, it gives us the opportunity to expand the footprint and the expansion of all healthcare services for the community, which is phenomenal. I live in Renfrew, and they have that currently, that situation, and it is really the way that healthcare is going. It's going to give us a secondary access route, you know, with the extra land, because we're going to have a hospital, medical building, and a long-term care facility there. We absolutely need a secondary access route. So that's involving a traffic study, which will be underway shortly. And then obviously increased opportunity for revenue and parking and leasable space with the more land. And it supports the government's direction for shared services, integration, and collaboration. So next slide. So this gives you a little rundown of where we're at and just a little design rather than, you know, I wanted to give you the history earlier, but this shows here the 4 steps. And if you look down, we are at the bottom going close to redoing the project. We're adding the new COVID infection prevention and control piece to the drawings for resubmission. And once that's finished, we go to tender. But if you look at the red check marks, and I don't want this to be perceived wrong, we've had the project approval at the top, and we've obtained the ministry approval. There isn't a check mark above confirming the funding because that is still underway. We have, if you go to the next capital licensing and review, we have secured the land and we've executed our development agreement. These are huge milestones. We're still confirming the financing. Down to the next project design, preliminary plans, working drawings, operational plans, all complete. And we just basically, like I said, have to go for the IPAC piece and then we go to tender. So that is my portion of the presentation. I'm going to invite Stacy to speak about the financial piece. If you wanted to move to the next slide, please. She'll speak about where we're at. And take it away, Stacy. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. So just jumping off of the things that Tricia has already brought to your attention, we do our fundraising through the foundation. They were successful in raising $1.2 million. They were, with a feasibility study, expected to raise $500,000. So they've done a phenomenal job there. We still have some ways to go. The community involvement, we require 10% of the project costs to move forward with this project. That creates a challenge in the area that we're in specifically, in the sense that the residents of our area, there's increased retirement, there's decreased industry, there's decreased opportunity for corporate sponsorship, and we're also a small catchment area with not any large industries or corporations around us. Tricia also spoke to the work that Advantage Ontario had done. I will get to that a little bit. Moving to the presentation that's in front of you right now, you can see the change in the construction costs. If I start at the bottom and go up, you can see that it increased from almost $34.8 million in 21 to 48.9 in 22. And we are in 23. We have spoken with Colliers. They have advised us that these are accurate numbers for 23 as well. There has been some change in some areas, but they feel that this is an accurate amount. So just to break it down a little bit, you can see that the largest areas are construction cost and allowances there. The allowances is larger right now until we get final approval from the ministry. That large contingency there right now is for any changes that Tricia spoke about, where we have to make changes for additional IPAC areas or leasable space. It's for those changes that they'll come back to us with. As we get the approvals back from the ministry, this will decrease to probably more along the lines of 5% of the total cost. So that that amount will end up being absorbed into the project cost. You can see that the total cost per room has increased from $362,000 to $509,000 per residential unit. If you can go to the next slide, it just speaks to what Tricia and I have both already spoken about with the $1.2 million that was raised by the foundation, which has been earmarked for redevelopment with Valley Manor. And the next slide, please. So going back to the Advantage Ontario discussion, Tricia and other administrators had worked with Advantage Ontario to lobby the government for more upfront funding. I'm hoping that everybody got a printed copy of this. It might be a little difficult to see unless you have a big screen that you're looking at. The area that's highlighted in red, you can see that there's an additional $35 per diem for development grant. Those are upfront monies which have changed the landscape of redevelopment and allowed us the funds upfront to be able to move forward with this project. You can see that there's a difference between large urban all the way down to rural. We do fall in the rural area. And it accounts for different things such as the cost of land in our area versus a large urban center. And that's all captured in there. So that's as a result, this screen is as a result of the work that Tricia had done with other administrators through Advantage Ontario and lobbying the government. And if you head on to the next slide. So this is just a picture that shows us with John Yakubuski and John Jordan, both MPPs for Ontario. Tricia can speak a little bit more to that. Where we stand right now is we have a funding gap that we need to close, and we have been asked in this meeting with the picture that's up here, we were asked by the members to look at other sources and be resourceful in other ways that we may be able to close the gap. So to do that, our first thought was to reach out to all the municipalities and kind of give an update on where we are with this project. The pandemic certainly slowed things down, but it didn't stop things for us. So it's just to bring everybody up to speed. We've come a long way, and we're open to suggestions that people may have to help us close that funding gap so that then we can proceed with the redevelopment. Back to you,
Stacey. Thank you, Stacey. So I have no further information to provide, just to speak to what Stacey said, that we're working with the MPPs. We're working closely with our government on looking at unique models and other opportunities for funding in order to close that gap to expedite the project. So that's it for our presentation, and we'd be happy to answer questions if you have any. Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions?
Um,
Go ahead, Councillor Collins.
It's Councillor Collins here. I have a question. Do you have a potential buyer for the existing Valley Manor, or anyone looking interested in potentially purchasing that? Because obviously the funds there are locked away in that infrastructure.
That's a great question, and we have actually explored that opportunity, and we are currently that's parked. We do have Colliers, our project management company, working for us, and we do plan on going back to the drawing board with selling the Valley Manor.
So there's nobody in the sideline at the moment that's shown any interest.
There are people, on the sidelines, but we can't currently sell it at this point because we need to be in the building. We have looked at other opportunities with this person on the sideline. They wanted to lease it, buy it. They wanted us to sell it to them and then lease it back to us while we were building. That made no financial sense to us, so we put that on the side. So they chose to wait.
Thank you.
No problem.
Any other questions?
Just a quick comment, Tricia. I'm curious, what is the funding gap currently required to be able to bring you to the point where you're able to meet your 10% for the loan?
The funding gap for the foundation piece or for the whole project, Brian?
Well, obviously, for the project to move ahead, you need to meet a certain amount in order to get any securities you need. You've got to raise a certain number of dollars. What is
Right.
that funding gap currently?
Yeah, that funding gap goes from 9 to 11 million right now.
So in order to get any loans related to this project, you still have a $9 to $11 million need
That is correct.
or commitment thereof.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? I guess there are no more questions, so Trish, thank you for your presentation, and I'm sure we will discuss it at some point and take it into consideration.
Thank you very much for everybody's time.
Thank you for your time.
If I
You're
may,
Yes,
if I may, I'd just like to thank you. I'm not sure who's leading the meeting here this morning, but I'd like to thank
Councillor
you.
Florence.
Oh, okay, thank you. All right, yes, I know Councillor Florent. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to come and make this presentation this morning. I think this is a project that's been going on for many years and it's much overdue. So we thank you for your support. I know your finances go in the other direction. Your people come to Valley Manor, but your money through the wisdom of former governments goes to another home. So we appreciate your interest in this today. So thank you very much.
We're working on that problem, Kathy.
Thank you. I know you are. We hope it'll be resolved sooner than later.
Okay, thank you for your presentation.
Thank you again.
You're welcome. If we can move on to number 8 on the agenda, it's the minutes of the previous meeting. And I'll need a motion to adopt the minutes of the meeting of March the 15th. Moved by Councillor Kuyak, seconded by Councillor Saito. Okay.
It's actually the April 5th one, I do first.
Okay, why is that one? Okay, go ahead.
Okay, moved by Councillor Kuyak, seconded by Councillor Sidoc, that Council for the Corporation of the Township of South Algonquin adopts the minutes of the regular council meeting of April 5th, 2023 as circulated.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I'll ask for a vote. Show of hands, please. All in favor, it's passed. Carried, rather. Okay, the next motion is, I need a mover and a seconder. The Council for the Corporation Township of South Algonquin adopts the minutes of the Human Resources Administration and Public Relations Committee meeting of March the 5th. Mover. Councillor Sidoc, seconded by Councillor Rodman. That Council for the Corporation of the Township of South Algonquin adopts the minutes of the Human Resources Administration and Public Relations Committee meeting of March 15th, 2023 as circulated. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried. I need a motion, a mover and a seconder for the Council for the Corporation Township of South Algonquin adopts the minutes of the Asset Management Committee meeting of April the 12th, 2023 as circulated. Moved by Councillor Collins, seconded by Councillor Kuya. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Carried. The next one, I need a mover and a seconder that council for the corporation and township of South Algonquin adopts the minutes of the Waste Management Committee meeting of April the 12th, 2023 as circulated. Moved by Councillor Rodnick, seconded by Councillor Collins. Any discussion? All in favor? It's carried. The next one, I need a mover and a seconder. The council for the corporation and township of South Algonquin adopts the minutes of the asset management committee meeting of April the 25th, 2023 as circulated. The mover, Councillor Collins, seconded by Councillor Pigeon. Any discussion? All in favor? It's carried. Next on the agenda is the committee staff and our councillor reports. And I haven't brought my computer up that far, so can somebody tell me who's up first?
Charlene.
It's the library board. Charlene, you have the floor.
Good morning, everyone. First off, I would like to thank council from myself and from the library board for our budget approval and for the new sign at our Madawaska branch that's already been installed and looks great. It's really good to increase our visibility there. So yes, an update to our OTF fund. We had our recognition event yesterday at 10 a.m. in Madawaska. And that went over well, except Mr. Yakubuski came to Whitney instead of Madawaska first, but that's okay. Next up, at our next regular board meeting on May 16th, Rick Ronholm, on behalf of the Barry's Bay Legion, will be presenting a donation check to purchase the 2 CO2 monitors. Both libraries, we have started our community seed library, and that's already been well received, and I plan for it to grow. Sorry, was that a question?
No, that was a play on words that you planned on the seeds to grow.
Yeah, I know, and I'm always tongue-tied when I try to talk. In January, we started offering craft evenings at the Madawaska branch. And so we've been hosting 1 adult and 1 child program per month. On average, we've been hosting 5 to 7 attendees per event. So we continue to go forward with that. Yesterday, we had our Adam Schultz author visit, which was extremely well received. I was at the school in the afternoon with Adam, and we hosted 60 students and staff. Last night in Madawaska Hall, we had 50 people in attendance, and already many requests to have Adam to come back at a future date. In September, we have an author talk planned with Linda Hutzel Manning. She wrote a book called Fearless and Determined in a One-Room Schoolhouse. So I'm really looking forward to hearing Linda's book. And last up, I mentioned at our last meeting that we had approved a strategic plan. So I would like to quickly review that with everyone. If we can go to the next slide. Oh, minutes first. There we go. So it's actually been quite a few years since the library board has had an approved strategic plan. So it was quite the feat to get done. We reestablished our vision statements to position the library as a visible community hub that uses innovative, flexible, and inclusive approaches to service delivery that reflect the diverse needs of the township. Our new mission statement is to provide a comprehensive services to the highest degree possible within available resources to all of our users. And really that should probably say residents and non-residents, because there's a lot of library services that you don't need to have a membership to access. And we also updated our underlying values to be responsive, accessible, freedom, and governance. Yeah, next slide. We've determined what our top goals are for the next 4 years. First one would be accreditation. This may become a future requirement to receive our annual funding from the government. So libraries have been strongly encouraged to keep working towards meeting those goals. We are actually in very good line in regards to our policies. They do require more updating and review. The last big hurdle would actually being having the main branch open a minimum of 20 hours a week, which would be a goal that we are working towards. We are focusing on data collection and input. So really using staff surveys, user surveys to really get a feel of what our users want and need from us. We are working on our governance, our organization and maintenance of our library board and directors and its policies. The last few years, we've had some changeovers and members where they've only lasted, partway through the term. So we really would like to focus on building a strong board that can last the term and grow together. We also are going to be focusing more on obtaining volunteers to assist at the library with programs and as needed. I can't even separate my papers. We would like to continue to grow and maintain new and existing partnerships throughout our community, but not only here, but throughout Renfrew County as well, because we feel the need to it just gives us more of an option for networking when we get outside of the community as well. And I've been really developing deeper relationships with other librarians throughout Renfrew County and with kind of in a closer radius. And our last major goal is really developing further as a community hub. And we would like to do this through programming, collection development, efficient use of space, and really clear financials, and also increasing our online promotion and visibility through social media avenues. And as I mentioned before, we're really excited. The seed garden has taken off, and yeah, I think that's about it, unless anyone, this lists our strengths and our weaknesses as we have determined. One change is we have on a weakness here is signage in Madawaska, but that has recently been improved, so I'll need to update that. Is there any questions?
Anybody have any questions? Go ahead, Councillor Paul.
I have just one question. I'm sure it's only a typo, but you are talking about receiving a check from Mr. Ron Holm from the Legion for carbon dioxide monitors. I'm sure you mean carbon monoxide. Nobody monitors carbon dioxide.
Actually, it is, because I did, after our last meeting, I did confirm, because then I had some doubt. And the monitors that are recommended for this type of program are their CO2 monitors, but they monitor temperature, humidity, and where I just lost that there. It's a complete air quality monitor, but it does check the CO2.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, but I know I had to pause and think, wait a minute, did get that mixed up? But that is confirmed.
Confirm that it's carbon monoxide, not carbon dioxide, right?
It is CO2. That is the right monitor.
Yes, CO2 is carbon monoxide.
Yes.
Is it?
It's carbon dioxide.
I know. But that is the correct. That is the correct monitor. Any other questions?
I have a comment, Charlene. When I was in the lineup to purchase one of Adam Schultz's books last night, there was a gentleman from Pembroke. And he had glowing comments about the library and the programs that you run, that he claimed that they didn't have anything like that in Pembroke. So just thought I'd pass that
Thank
along.
you. And I haven't looked through my pile. We did receive quite a few program feedback forms last night, which after my class visit today, I'll start going through that. But yes, that gentleman did speak to me, and I should mention, we did have people travel from Pembroke, Petawawa, Maple Leaf, and there was a group that came from Barry's Bay. The librarian in Barry's Bay was promoting it, and so they had a group carpool from the Barry's Bay Library as well. And yeah, people are asking, how do we find these great presenters? And thank you. It's good to know we're hitting the right targets.
Okay, if you have nothing else, Charlene, we will, do you have anything else?
No, I'm good.
Okay, we'll move on to the fire report then.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, I'm going to make this thing. Good morning, everybody. Firstly, I'll start the report by apologising for not being present and delivering my report at last month's meeting. Kind of busy. We unfortunately lost a house in Madawaska. It is actually quite frightening how quickly nowadays, with modern materials in the builds, how quickly the fire will rage through a modern house. This was a modern house, not an old century house. By the time we arrived on scene, and I did take some photos literally as I arrived on scene, and there's very little delay from the owners calling the 911, us responding, which of course is our response time to get to the fire hall and then start to turn up on scene. So I'm there probably about 20-25 minutes from the initial call. The house is gone, right? The photo I've got is, imagine you're building a timber framed house and you've erected your wall and flipped it up. That's all that's left. Everything's gone. The roof's gone, the ceiling's gone, the walls you could see straight through. Well, what was left of the house you could see straight through. You could just see the framework. That's 25 minutes after the call. You know, modern technology now, modern materials rather, the UL laboratories have got a comparison video showing you two near identical rooms, as near as they could build them in their laboratory. One using materials from 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, and one building using materials from the modern day. And I'm talking the sofas, the furniture, the fabrics in the curtain, that sort of stuff, you know. The first video, they run simultaneously in their time sequence. You know, you see they deliberately set the fire in the sofa to smolder, sofa to ignite the room, to flash over, blah, blah. 20 minutes with traditional materials, the old-fashioned horsehair sofas, that sort of 20 minutes before the room is fully engaged. 6 minutes with modern-day furniture. 6 minutes.
Yes.
So I cannot, and I hope anybody who's listening online and watches this later on, I cannot emphasize too highly smoke alarms. That's the only thing that saved those people's lives. The smoke alarms woke them up. The fire was in the basement in their furnace room, and it was coming up through the floor registers. When they woke to the smoke alarms, it was already at knee height. They're on the second story, obviously, it's at knee height. By the time they got dressed and left the house was full of smoke. And they tried to go back in to get a passport. They couldn't even get back into the house for the amount of smoke. And that's the time you're talking about. Those smoke alarms will save lives, and also carbon monoxide, because with fuel burning properties, you want to make sure you're getting all that exhaust correctly out. But I cannot emphasize too highly the smoke alarms. They're in the building code, they're in the fire code, where they should be in your houses. The information is available online. I'm available to talk to anyone. There is a minimum requirement. They're $10. Why go to minimum? Put in plenty, and then remember to change the batteries. A little tip I do, hang on, I have to get the word right. I use a Sharpie pen. The other night at fire, I called it a pentel pen. Everybody looked at me and went, "See what you're talking about now?" A Sharpie pen. And I write the date, the month and the year that I do the battery, and then change them obviously every year. But even if you forget once, you've only got to pop the cover off and you can see the date you wrote on on the battery, just make sure you write it on the side that's visible. I did it once and put it on the other side, put the battery in and then wondered why I couldn't see the date. But yeah, smoke alarms, smoke alarms, smoke alarms, smoke alarms. It will save lives, 6 minutes, 6 minutes to get out of your house. And perhaps I'm not talking about grab bags, but think perhaps about where you put your, these people, they got out with a set of car keys and a wallet. That was what they got out with. Where do you leave your wallet, your purse, your anything valuable? Where do you, I have a fire safe. Because obviously we came in as immigrants into Canada, we have our visas, we have our citizenship papers, we keep it in a fire safe. Where did I have the fire safe? In my basement. What happens when the house burns down? Everything falls into the basement. You try and find something in that basement after the fire. It was an eye-opener to me, and so that's why I'm talking about it now. But, your valuables, perhaps think about keeping the valuables somewhere other that are either easily accessible or away from where your main seat of the fire is likely to be, which is likely to be in your house. But anyway, enough of that. Sorry, that was the fire last night, which is why I couldn't be here. I hope my able assistant gave the report adequately. I mustn't give her too much praise, or she'll start demanding payment. This month's report, the 30th of March, there was an online symposium about lithium-ion batteries. 3 of us attended that full-day symposium there. That's another problem that's coming down the line. Technology is moving faster than building codes and fire codes. And these lithium-ion batteries now are just about in everything and everything. And when they go into, they call it thermal runaway, it is not a normal fire with a lithium-ion battery. The normal fire, you've all seen at school, the fire triangle, you need heat, fuel, and air, and it will burn. Take one of those 3 things away, fire stops. So we either chill it down or we remove the oxygen, or, really simple. Unfortunately, a lithium-ion fire is chemical reaction. And nothing we've got at the moment will adequately put it out. Once it starts, let it burn. So one of the things I wanted to warn council about is if we have a electric vehicle fire on a highway and we go to it, it will be for the officer in charge at the scene to make a decision, but it's quite likely we're just going to let it burn. For the simple reason it will burn itself out potentially in 3 hours and it'll all be done, or we'll be there for 12 hours trying to fight the fire and cool it down and keep it going, basically keeping it going because we're slowing the rate of burn down. And then that's 12 hours of our resources committed to a car fire that we're not going to stop, we're not going to save it. So why not reduce the debris left at the end of the day and let it burn, so long as we're safe. That's obviously the overriding principle. But I did just want to warn council that if it should happen one of these days, and that is our decision at scene, and you suddenly get a load of irate people phoning wondering why Highway 60 was shut for 3 hours while we just stood and watched the fire, that's why. Because potentially it's the best for everybody. It's the best for the township. It's the best for the resources, the limited resources that I have within the fire department. And potentially it's best for the environment because it's all gone in one foul swoop. There have been instances with these electric cars catching fire 72 days after the crash. It's all to do with the battery, the component parts of the battery being compromised, and then the chemical reaction slowly fizzes away, and then eventually, but 72 days is the worst. 30 to 45 days has been a regular electric fire with one of these vehicles in a crash, and they get taken away. In Europe, just to give you where Europe is thinking at the moment, and we got all this from this conference, they're actually now the fire department is some of the fire departments in Europe being equipped with a dumpster and a truck. And when they get one of these electric fires, the dumpster truck comes along beside the car and it's got a grab, and it grabs the car and it puts the car inside the dumpster, and the fire department fill the dumpster with water, and then they take it away with it all fizzing and bubbling inside a container full of water. They can't stop it, so they're just trying to learn to deal with it. But anyway, that lithium-ion, I could spend the rest of your meeting talking about the dangers of the lithium-ion batteries. And potentially up here for us, e-bikes, hoverboards, mobility scooters, all got lithium ion batteries in. Where do people keep them? When they've finished, they keep them, bring them in the house. Bring them in the house, and usually they'll bring them in the hallway and plug them in overnight while they go to bed. The hallway. What's your primary exit in a fire? The hallway. What have you just put right between you and the front door? Yeah, a lithium ion battery. And the worst of it is some of the smaller ones, their component parts are actually made up of cells, and the cell is just a little bit bigger than a AA battery. And they have hundreds / thousands of these little batteries in them. So when they go into thermal runaway, and the batteries basically just overheat, and they're in like a honeycomb effect. So one overheats, it causes these two to overheat, which causes these 6 to overheat, and it builds and builds and builds like a bomb. But just like a bomb, they're in a container. And when you all know what happens when you contain something like a firework, you watch it, you burn it, and when it explodes, the pressure is held inside for a bit and then it explodes. Now take that cell, when that cell explodes, what happens to all the little batteries?
Projectiles.
They become projectiles, but they're already alive. So we watched one video, they call him Mr. Christmas, it's on YouTube. And there's a guy in literally his boxer shorts in his house, and he's got a electric bike beside the wall and the patio door, and the Christmas tree is here. That's why it's called Mr. Christmas. And he walks in and he sees the smoke. 20 seconds from seeing smoke to actual full flames coming out. And he tries to get the bike and throw it out the patio door, and then it starts to explode. And then the curtains were on fire, the Christmas tree was on fire, this was on fire, and then that was it. The camera went out because the room was on fire. He got out, like we literally, you see him open the patio door and dive out into the snow in his boxer shorts. Was that a graphic enough picture? Do you get the message about the danger? The lithium ion batteries are safe if they are treated as the manufacturers intended. Yeah, if they are not damaged, if they're not immersed in water or got wet, all of these type of things. There was one, we saw one video, and it was a contractor's vehicle and common brand of electric tools in the back of his truck gone. The battery had been dropped, smashed. It was left on charge in the back of the truck. There's some water inside it that caught fire. It caught light to the next bit, and the back of the contractor's vehicle was alight. The batteries are safe if they're used as they are intended. The problem with batteries and some of the equipment that they're in, hoverboards, e-bikes, they get bounced over things, especially the new ones now that are coming out to go out on ATV trails and that, the battery is getting disturbed, and that can lead to failure, which leads to a fire, which leads to more problems. I'll stop. Lithium ion. 11th of April, Madawaska practice. It was basically a clean and regroup after the fire on the 5th. On the 5th. It was cleaning and checking and replacing our equipment. The 18th was we had a combined meeting that night between Whitney and Madawaska, where we did a full debrief on the fire at Lansdowne Avenue. The good, the bad, what we did right, what we did wrong. We're volunteers. We train as much as we can. Always going to get something wrong. I always try and make sure that every incident we go to, we debrief afterwards and see what we can learn from the incident. What could we have done better? What worked right for us? What did any of the equipment fail? We had one piece of equipment that broke, and hopefully we're now in the middle of that. Didn't just get put to one side. It came out in the debrief that it was broken, and hopefully a replacement is on its way. The 22nd and 23rd of April, Madawaska and Whitney respectively had their first aid, CPR and AED refresher courses. The calls and responses for April were quite large. I mean, Whitney, one of the staff at Whitney jokingly said that Madawaska on the 5th of April became a full-time department as opposed to a part-time department. We had 3 calls on the 5th. We had the Lansdowne fire at about 7 in the morning. We had a second fire later in the afternoon. I didn't write the exact time down, but that was to Highway 523. Where we had a hydro pole on fire. We nursemaid that for a couple of hours until hydro had made it safe. And then later that night, we had to assist the paramedics to Yantha Lane, where the paramedics had got their ambulance stuck in the soft snow, and they also needed help to get their equipment to the house to aid the person and get the person to the ambulance. By that time, we got the ambulance pulled out of the soft snow and off they went to hospital. So that was a busy day on the 5th of April. And I'm just blown away with how much the local people, the volunteers, put into that day. No call went unresponded. We did not. Yeah, we never failed to respond to any of the calls. And we had adequate people at all the sites. Could always use more, but we had adequate. 12th of April, a medical call to Merton Street for an elderly female with head injuries. And on the 13th, a medical call to Major Lake Road with a male collapsed. Also on the 13th, Deputy Chief Tom attended the Whitney schools to monitor their regular fire drill practice. 17th of April at Whitney, there was a call. It came out to Whitney called Mizzy Lake hydropole on fire. I contacted our dispatch service and told them it wasn't our area and redirected them. 19th of April, Madawaska, a medical call again to Merton Street where an elderly female collapsed. 20th of April, this was an interesting one. About 10:30 at night, I got a phone call from the dispatch, so our dispatch service, asking if I would respond with the fire department to Aileen Lake to get a man off of the lake who'd gone out, I'm guessing, fishing, but he'd gone out on the lake. And while he's out on the lake, he suddenly realized that the ice had formed all around his boat and he was now trapped about the location, Aileen Lake, 500 meters off the shore. Fortunately, I was able to respond to the dispatch service. This had come from the OPP, who were trying to find someone to deal with it. And I was able to respond to the dispatch service that we don't do water rescue or ice rescue. We have no equipment for it and no training. And the OPP had the boats. Get in touch with the OPP. I did check later, actually very early the next morning, what the outcome was. And the OPP were able to tell me that the man that was trapped in the ice had managed to get himself off the lake and he was safely back at home. And then final one for the month was April the 25th in Whitney. The call came out to a structure fire on Highway 60. It turned out to be a false alarm. We believe the person who called it in got no problem at all. It was the right thing to do. They saw what they believed to be smoke coming off the roof. It was the day when we were having sunshine showers. We just think it was the shingles sting. I will go to 100 false alarm calls, because to be called early is the right thing to do every single time. No complaints and concerns to bring to your attention. Upcoming events, the 8th of May and the 13th of June, Whitney schools will be doing their fire drills again. Either myself or DC Tom will be in attendance. Madawaska Fire Hall members have been asked and will be lighting the fireworks for the Canada Day celebrations. And Whitney Fire Hall will be conducting an open day during the Canada Day celebrations here. 25th of May coming up, Deputy Chief Sidock, Captain Haskins and Firefighter Dupuy will be attending the General Motors Battery Electric Vehicle First Responders Training Course being hosted by Durham College. General Motors are putting forward this training course free to first responders. They initially made it available to 150 participants. The demand was so great, they actually have enlarged it to 500. They're running it over 2 days as 4 half-day courses. So 500 people will be able to witness, to get the information direct from GM about their vehicles, and it's their vehicles only. There is no uniform standard to either electric lithium-ion batteries, the composition of them, the chemical makeup, where they're placed, how they're built, and getting down to the vehicles where we have to do the extrication. There is no uniform place at the moment where every manufacturer has agreed we will put the cut point for the power here. They're in all different places, and at the moment we have a manual like the AFIC or an app to look at on the phone, because no manufacturer wants to let another manufacturer know its secrets, production issues, blah, blah, blah. Talking of production issues, one major car manufacturer has just withdrawn its electric truck from its market with a view, and there's no date for it to be coming out in the future at the moment because of some production issues they're having with the electric battery. Correspondence, 20th of April, I received correspondence from Renfrew County District Health Unit concerning a commercial property on Highway 23 regarding potential fire safety issues. I have been corresponding with the owner and told him I'm coming out to conduct a fire safety inspection. He's asked that everybody concerned that the Renfrew County is also the health unit is concerned as well. And he's asked us to do a joint inspection. So I'm liaising with the Renfrew County. We will go to the health unit and we will go and do a joint inspection on a date that is appropriate. Unfortunately, 20th of April, firefighter Perry from Whitney resigned for personal reasons. 24th of April, I approved a copy for publication. Saber is publishing a newsletter and they wanted my approval and comments on some campfire safety rules and tips. It was a very good article. It was very well put together and I had no problem, a couple of minor alterations in approving that, and we should see that in our township very soon. 26th of April, firefighter May also at Whitney resigned. He's now moved away from the area for work reasons. And then lastly, for the month of April, I created a Facebook page, not knowing what I was going to be putting on it, but I thought hey, it would be good for the fire department to have a Facebook page. And then we had flooding and then the bridge closures and the road closures. So the fire department page that I just started suddenly had loads of information on it about road closures, flooding, bridges, what roads we could access and everything else. I'll pause for breath. Any questions?
I have one comment. In your report, you refer to the one person as elderly. I kind of adjusted that because that patient is younger than I am. So in the future, could you just refer to her as a female or a male? And
Noted.
yeah,
Noted. Yes, of course.
Your joint inspection with the Renfrew Health Unit?
Yes.
Where was that?
I haven't done it yet.
No, you said highway.
523. 523.
Okay. Thank you. All right.
Yeah, I was, yeah.
any other questions of Chief Collins before he gets on with the business of being chief? Seeing none, thank you, Chief Collins.
Thank you very much. Have a good day, everybody.
See April for it.
I'm looking forward to a quieter month. Shouldn't use that Q word.
The next report is from CEMC Acne.
Good morning, everyone. Okay, so there's a couple of freshet calls there. I also have a brief road report that you can follow. So in terms of the freshet this year, it got off to a very slow start. Back in March, levels at all reservoirs, both in Algonquin Park and Whitney and Bark Lake were at the lowest levels in years. Eventually that changed. The big issue this year is the amount of snowpack we had, which is like 247% above normal for snow water content. So when we got those couple of really very warm, record warm days in the heavy melts, it caused some excessive runoff that caused us some flooding problems locally, a couple of closures, a couple of culverts washed out. And it led to the outflow of water from Algonquin Park, which then caused some issues downstream at the Major Lake Bridge, causing the water to actually come in contact with the bottom of the bridge deck at the south end, which then resulted in a closure of the bridge. The bridge is open. The M&R has an electronic signboard there. There is a 4-ton limit on that bridge. So again, anything above 4 tons is not allowed across the bridge. So today is a collection day. So we used to pick up to go into Macaulay and pick garbage, and our compactor doesn't cross the bridge because it's too heavy. Our township tandem trucks can't go across. Our grader can't go across. So unfortunately, that area will not get graded until that load restriction is lifted. I was in there yesterday. I assume it was the MNRF or MECP that had patched the potholes on the bridge. They used gravel to patch them. It was not Works Department. We did have our township sweeper in Major Lake Road sweeping yesterday. We swept up to the electronic signboard at the bridge approach. So basically what happened was the heavy melt came. It caused some flooding issues. Old 127 was closed. The outflow from the dam resulted in the closure of Madawaska Street for a number of days, which is typical when flows reach a certain threshold. We had a set of culverts at the north entrance of Mackenzie Lake that failed due to the high flows. Again, the culverts were over 20 years old, so there was absolutely nothing left of the culverts when we removed them and replaced them. Bennett Road had water over the road on the causeway. It receded, but it was very soft at the end of the road. And then again, we had the washout on Poplinsky Road, which resulted in culvert replacements there. So it's been a busy spring. The massive freeze thaw cycles we've had this year have been a nightmare. I mean, very deep and numerous potholes. That last ice storm was just hateful. You know, and road conditions are still very soft. So we've had difficulty maintaining our roads to the level we would like this spring, but we've done our best. So in terms of the freshet, our last call was Thursday of last week. The flows have peaked and conditions are declining in that regard. With the latest rainfall we've had, levels are up slightly, but there's capacity. Bark Lake was rising last week at 15 centimeters per day, and they had 2 meters of capacity, and it's a large lake, so that'll certainly hold any excess inflows that are coming over the next day or two. Looks like the river will fill up to the summer levels without a problem. In Pembroke, I also attend their freshet calls out of the Pembroke district. The Pembroke region and the certain stretches through Petawawa have experienced some flooding. Some of the municipalities in Renfrew County are experiencing localized flooding. Nothing like 2019, more comparable to the flood levels we had back in 2017. So again, the county of Renfrew is still, and that's a part of our capital sector EMO meetings, are still holding freshet meetings on Mondays. So we're through the worst of it. We've done the culvert replacements at the north entrance of Mackenzie and Poplinsky Road, and our grader. We finished the work we could in the west end on Friday. We took the grader, we got into Poplinsky Road, we got into half of Dunn's Road before it got too soft. We had to pull the grader out of there. We changed the oil and the fuel filters in the grader at the garage yesterday, and it will be sent to Aylan Lake next because Aylan hasn't been graded yet this spring. So once the grading at Aylan Lake is taken care of, we'll start a full round of full grading, hopefully if the weather cooperates, the beginning of next week. The other issue with emergency management is emergency preparedness week is the first full week of May. So I put it in the package that I would hope that council, like in other years, would proclaim May 7th through 13th as emergency preparedness week. So that will come up later in your meeting to deal with. The EMO sector meetings occur spring and fall. I've received correspondence from our field officer that the spring sector meeting will be held in an eastern community close to Perth of all places, the east end of the district, or you can attend virtually. So I'll be attending the EMO spring sector meeting on May 25th virtually. And then the fall meeting will, the date for that will be determined later in the fall. The other business about our emergency management program committee meetings, you've asked for the third week in June. The Red Cross has been very busy with the conditions in Renfrew County, so I haven't been able to confirm their attendance and many of the other members yet. So I'm still working. And so tentatively our committee meeting is still set for the third week in June. And I'll get back to you once that is set. Are there any other questions regarding emergency management at this point?
I have a question and a comment. The closure of the bridge. Number one thing is the only people that seem to be adhering to the 4-ton limit is our township. Because I seen propane delivery trucks in there on Monday. And yesterday, I think it's tree planters went in there with a couple of school buses that were obviously over the 4-ton. They delivered some kind of an office or sleep quarters or something. prior to that, it was there on Monday when I was in there. So the ministry themselves are not obeying their own weight limit on the bridge. And the sign is solar powered and it's parked in the shade and it doesn't work. So most of the time it's not on. So the general public has no idea that there's a 4-ton limit on the bridge.
Yes, I was in last Friday and the sign had lost power. And I come out at 9:35 and just a corner of the solar panel was starting to get sunshine. So I had figured it runs out of power in the overnight period. And it was working when I was in there yesterday, but
I was in there Friday and Monday and it wasn't working either day.
yeah. The problem with enforcement is not a municipal problem, so it would be the police or MECP would have to adhere to.
Did the MNR or Mr. Swick give you any indication of when Jewel Engineering would be back to do a final?
I haven't heard when they set the 4-ton limit, 4-tone limit, they said within a month, but unless Brian, you've heard.
I've not had an update from John either myself, so I know they just want the water to get down low enough they could get under it and actually see the structure itself to do a proper inspection. But that's all I know.
The water on Monday was down approximately 6 feet from where it was the Saturday before the closure. I think it closed on a Monday.
Yeah, I've taken several photographs from upstream onshore. 2 weeks ago, week and a half ago, it was the center piers. There was the lower posts were just showing. We had gotten a bit of rain. The next time I checked it, those posts were not showing, so it had come up an inch and a half, but it had dropped considerably. But I'm not sure what the engineers require to see what's at the very bottom.
There's still a lot of water going through there.
There
There's quite a current, but okay, because people want to get on with getting on, you know.
I just have a question though, is that if, you know, Joe, you saw all these things and then reported it here, are we not obligated then to report it to whoever owns the issue? If it's not our issue, it now has become our issue because we let it drop.
I'll address that partly. So the section of roadway and the bridge is within the non-operating provincial park. When Mr. Swift made the closure, he also made the specification that M&R staff would check the bridge daily.
Right.
I met a gentleman by the name, I believe it was Trent Rogers. I spoke with him, that was a couple of weeks back, so he was in doing the daily inspections. So their staff should be in there every day and should be reporting back to Mr. Swick. So, you know, that is their chain of command that they should be following.
But the fact that the things aren't, you know, people aren't adhering to the closure limit or the sign's not working, just because they have, I haven't reported it, are we still, I mean, shouldn't that, you know, we know about it, shouldn't we go and say, hey, to John Swick, these
We
things
could
are.
mention the battery, but they probably know about that. Because one of them is a ministry.
The people aren't ignoring the rule. The people don't know about the rule.
Yeah.
Right, because it's not posted or.
There's no signage saying
Right.
it's posted, other than the electronic one that
Which doesn't work.
Which doesn't work.
apparently works about 2 hours a day.
And any sign posted for a load restriction has to be a legal sign under, I think, book 5 it is. It's either, I think it's book 5 under the, you know, so it's enforceable by police under the Highway Traffic Act. So, yeah, so there's just the electronic signboard there and that's all they've put in place.
The electronic signboard itself is a bit of a hazard. Because it sticks
I
out
put
the
a
road.
township cone beside it because they didn't even mark it.
Yeah.
It's sitting on the shoulder and partly in the live lane, so not a great spot, no.
Okay, any other comments to Brian before he leaves?
Oh, I was gonna just give a brief roads report.
I thought you were doing that as you were doing your.
Well, I kind of combined the two. They're both kind of related in the terms of high water. So in the works department for this month, so again, the road repairs and replacements were finished at Mackenzie Lake and Poplinski Road. It was a beaver dam break that washed out Poplinski Road. This is like, I think I've been there at least 4 times in my career. We put in a second 24-inch culvert this time, so we actually doubled the drainage capacity. Hopefully that will keep the road in place if there's a future event. Again, with the wet weather, my grader's sitting today, but we'll try and get it going tomorrow at Aylan Lake. And once Aylan's done, we'll do a full round of grading next week. Hot mix patching, we've started that. So we did one round in Whitney over a week ago. There's still lots of potholes. Every day you get more. And we patched Major Lake, and it's in dreadful shape due to the freeze thaw cycles. I mean, there's more patching this year than most other years. Again, once the weather dries up, we'll continue with the patching. I've got a fresh load of cold mix from Barry's Bay this week. So when it dries up, we'll continue patching. The main dock at Aylan Lake has been installed, and the dock extension here at the area boat launch, they were both put in last Friday. Again, I'd like to thank Ian for inviting the Works Department members to the CPR first aid training on April 22nd and 23rd. We had several members present. The issue at the works yard with stray voltage is ongoing. Hydro One has had 3 separate crews on site, a half a dozen times in the last month to figure out where this stray voltage is coming from. They again patrolled all lines in the area looking for a Hydro One neutral wire that's open and producing that stray voltage. Last week, the voltage at the fuel pumps in the yard was between 8 and 13 volts. Then on the 25th, a couple of days later, it was at 8 volts, which it was previously. They even went down to the parkette at the Opionga River at the second bridge, and there was, I think, 4 or 5 volts of stray voltage there. So, I mean, it's a problem that they have not been able to figure out. They took out their monitoring equipment, and this last crew that was here was they have a higher technical level. What they are considering is possibly putting in new ground rods at the hydro pole with the transformer on it that's located near the end of our garage. And it'll have a little, what they call an isolator box on the side of it to try and disperse that stray voltage. Or their other option, and they think the problem is at that distribution station beside the yard, is to drive a whole bunch of ground rods in that facility to help dissipate. It won't cure the problem. They don't technically know where the problem is, but that would help reduce the voltage. So any future repairs, corrective actions are still forthcoming, and we're still in regular contact with Hydro One, but they haven't got a date to come back to do any more work.
So in the meantime, Darren, are we still, are we using our fuel?
We're using the diesel tanks because they're slightly less flammable. Gasoline is out of service.
So we're still purchasing fuel.
We're still purchasing fuel at. I approached the store in Madawaska to set up an account. They declined. So we're using a credit card if we get fuel in Madawaska, or we're using the stores up here to purchase gasoline.
Wow.
Yeah, so the high volatility of gasoline and stray voltage don't mix. So yeah, we're going to keep the gas pumps out of service until this is corrected. Or the other option would be, where do we move them? If we remove them completely, then that's one issue. But if we move it elsewhere in the yard, obviously there's stray voltage everywhere. So we'll let Hydro see what they can come up with and deal with some more in that regard.
So obviously it'd be a significant cost there as well too. You're using of your credit card, correct?
Well, it's a township credit card, but I mean, that's.
But the cost difference is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think Jennifer, do we get a rebate on gasoline too, or is it just the color too? Yeah, so yes, and the fire department, they have to get their gasoline elsewhere too. Their diesel, they can still fuel up at our yard. So as far as our winter sand removal and street sweeping, we've already started. We did the M&L Hall last week, and in advance of the dances and the events. We were out Major Lake yesterday. A little too wet this morning, so, you know, we're gonna get working on sweeping our entire roads network. I've got 2 safety inspections planned for township equipment this week. Our large float is due for an inspection before the end of the month, and then our utility trailer will come to local garage here tomorrow to get its safety inspections, part of our annual maintenance program. I've had staff starting to submit their vacation requests for this year, so I've got most of them in. So there are a couple of weeks on the calendar that looks like multiple people want to take at the same time. So once they're submitted, we'll certainly work out a schedule and we can plan our work around that. Our newest works department employee has undergone some initial training at the landfill sites. He seems to be fitting in well initially with his new duties. Unfortunately, this employee is off this week with some health issues. And then I have another full-time member of the works department that will be off for 3 weeks in the month of May for some health leave. So there's a couple of staffing issues there that will be dealt with. I received a call from Bob Forrester. He's the dispatcher at the Miller Group, wondering what was happening with our calcium tender. So I informed Mr. Forrester that Miller's was the favored bid, but that council would need to pass a resolution giving final approval for the tender, and that would happen at today's meeting, which I assume is on the agenda. So Bob was happy with that. And we've started work on the winter sand tender. Tracy sent me last year's tender. I've got 2 loads of salt coming from Compass Minerals from Bowmanville. They'll arrive between now and 5 o'clock today. So we'll have our salt supply, and then once we do a final review, we'll put the winter sand tender out very shortly. Last year, the tender closed on the 22nd of June, and the work was completed by September 16th. So we're on track to get that tender out.
That's it, right?
Yes.
Anybody have any questions or comments?
One comment, the new culverts that you installed in Lake.
Yes.
Worked well. Little ditching was involved as well too, so the water is really, it's flowing properly now.
Yeah, so like Jerry and I put those, they're over 20 years old, those culverts, so they handled the flow this spring as well as they could, but yeah, so yeah, so again, we've wrapped the ends and put lots of stone there, and that should be able to handle that flow for another 20 years. Well, more than that. Again, with the old galvanized pipe, there's absolutely nothing left on the bottom. Completely, I can show you the photos. It's typical of what our galvanized pipes look like after 20 years.
Is it being so close to the highway with the highway salt as well too?
No, it's just a very high iron content in our water, and those pipes are, I mean, it flows year round. They're immersed all the time. So hopefully these plastic pipes, they say they're going to last 70 years. So hopefully they do. The only problem with the plastic culverts is they tend to float. So it was tricky to get them in, even with the flow that was there, but they stayed in place. But again, like last year when the dam blew at Allen Lake, it pops the ends right up out of that. So that's the problem with the plastic culvert. So we got to put extra cover over top and make sure the upstream ends are weighted down. So that's just the first of many. I mean, I have a list 2 pages long right now and growing that we'll try and get out as soon as the weather allows it.
Okay, just make a short comment about the new waste attendant in Madawaska. I had 3 or 4 times I've been to the dump doing spring cleanup and 2 of the times that I went there, he was out picking up papers, which is nice to see. He had about 3 or 4 garbage bags full the one day I was there, between dealing with the other customers.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah, Kevin is a former employee. He worked with us 2012, 2013. And I've had discussions on, staying busy when you're there. And
I think
he's working out well.
Okay, thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
The next thing on the agenda is the Murchison and Isle Recreation Committee minutes. Anybody have any questions or comment? I'll just make a comment that the trivia night on Monday night, I think they raised somewhere just north of $1,500 to donate to the St. Francis Healthcare. So it was very successful. I think it was 13 teams, if I remember right. Anybody else have any comments? If not,
How did the dances go on Friday and Saturday night?
they weren't as well attended as the ones in the middle of the winter, but they were still profitable. And you know something? I had some money sitting on the end of the table to bring up to Jennifer and I forgot it.
Thanks.
There's somewhere around $3,000 and that's from the last 3 events, like the trivia night and the 2 dances. And it's still sitting there. Next item on the, is the staff report, does that come up now or does that,
That's now.
that now? Okay, staff report from Jennifer.
Okay, so this is a bit of a complicated bylaw, or it seems complicated. But tax capping refers to limitations on annual property tax increases for non-residential properties. So tax capping was introduced to protect properties from large property tax increases as a result of implementing the current value assessment in 1998. So currently we have 1 property left. It is within the provincial threshold and is fully taxable now. So this bylaw basically enables the township to exit the provincial program, which we have been doing for quite a few years. So I'm told that next year we should be exited out of it. So we'll hope that they don't bring in anything quite as complicated with the next assessment that they do. But that's our hope. So this is a bit of a formality to exit that program. So I'm not sure if anybody has any questions about the actual bylaw or the report.
And you're referring to commercial properties, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So when the province enacted this, there was a new assessment base created, which was much larger than the older assessment base. So this was to mitigate that for businesses.
Okay.
And it's finally expiring.
So are they going to, what I'm trying to get at is, are we gonna see it, I mean, are they going to see a tax increase, a large tax?
They're
increase?
already at their taxable values. This is a technicality to get us out of that program. And yeah,
All right.
It was a stepped program, correct?
it was a stepped program, yeah. So it seems a bit technical. We covered all of our options to exit this program in the bylaw. And we've gotten this resource, it's been here since I came. We've changed it very little aside from dates in it, because it does include every option for us to exit that program and get that property back to its current value assessment.
Anybody have any questions?
And that was bylaw, that's bylaw 749? Is that what we're referring to? Where are we?
I actually don't have the bylaw
Oh,
number.
there it is. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's what I had queried.
Yeah, it seems to be complicated and very wordy, but it's in essence to cover every option that we could in order to exit this program.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer.
Yeah.
We'll move on to the next staff report, and that's Tracy Cannon.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So the first report is to rescind the bylaw that was passed on March 1st for the deeming bylaw. When the lawyers went to register the bylaw, land registry office kicked it back, and we don't like the schedule to it. So they don't like maps attached to anything that's going to be registered. So this is just technicality. We have to rescind the other bylaw, pass this bylaw without the schedule, and then I'll send it back to the lawyers and they will attempt to re-register it with host of success, which I don't think there'd be any problem now with this. So that's that bylaw. The other one is a resolution. It's a standard one, just so council approves for myself to proceed with the sale of the shoreline allowance in front of Ottawa, 54 Ottawa Street. And it looks like it's the only one in that area left to go. So
Is that the property that's now up for sale?
No.
Oh, okay.
So if anybody has any questions on those two things, I can.
I think there had been talk about looking at the fees or the pricing of things,
Yeah,
and that hadn't gotten done yet.
we have to, it has to go through a bylaw. We are currently working on that, but every department has to go through that, and I'm the one that initiated it, and I'm the one that's holding it up, because I just haven't had a chance to look at
Okay,
it. so.
no, I just, in my mind and memory, I thought we had said something about increasing that.
Yeah, we're gonna look at all the fees. I've circulated to all staff, and they've all put their comments in, and I think I had it for the middle of April, and I was going to drop the ball on that, but just give it a chance to go back.
That is what it is.
It is what it is. Another thing that I would like to talk about on Friday, Mike and I took a drive down to Avon Lake and a few other places within the township, but we looked at the signage and the layout of the Avon Lake boat launch, because now we have to move on that if we're going to get any signs and bollards out and such. So I've come up with a little plan, and I've talked to Councillor Rodnick, and I believe that Brian has initiated a call with the president of ELCA to discuss too about how they feel with what we're proposing. I think with some signage and maybe some brushing, it would organize it a bit better down there. And just, we were running out of time, so, and we're waiting for permission from M&RF as well for that. So that's another.
That's not gonna be a speedy process.
No. So I think with some signage even, we'll put the signs up, and I'd like to move that storage building to the other side by the trees. I think that would make a difference and cut some trees, but we have to wait for permission, and we want to talk to also to see what they say.
Maybe to just speak to that, I've had a number of conversations with a newer staff member there, Grace, I can't recall her last name off the top of my head. She's been working with senior staff there to try and understand what they're going to allow us to do there. We want to take some trees, of course, out of the parking lot, so right now that's gone to a forester to get permission to take those trees out. We had switched from land use permit to a memorandum of understanding at that location. The difference between the land use permit and the memorandum, one is generally considered to be, the land use permit's generally considered to be a long-term use. A memorandum of understanding is generally a shorter term use. So some of the rules associated with the use or the permissions that we get may be associated with whether we continue with a memorandum of understanding or whether we have to go back to a land use permit. I think prior to my arrival, the primary reason for the switch was the memorandum of understanding come at no cost. For the land use permit, they've now taken that as a percentage of the value of the property for an annual lease. So the lease costs have gone up quite significantly from what they used to be. But I've had very positive conversations with the M&R on it. We'll continue to work with them. She understands I'm trying to get something done there. Not a lot. If I can even get some trees cut out and some signage up, and the pump house, they have some concerns with it being a quote permitted use on the property to begin with. So we've got some little issues, I think, to manage. Hopefully they'll give us some permission to move forward. I want to have permission eventually to be able to enact some type of an parking enforcement bylaw there, which would give our bylaw enforcement officer the ability to go out and actually manage things a little better. But I think a little bit of signage, some bollards, removing some trees, maybe by fall, we may have to go in and put some granulars down and address some drainage and to ensure the water is flowing, in an appropriate manner on the property. We've got some ideas on how to remedy it. We're just waiting for some more feedback from the M&R. We did get asked to go and speak to the property owners on either side to let them know we're considering enlarging the parking area. I guess we're not really enlarging the parking area. We're just enlarging the capacity of the parking in there. So we're supposed to make sure that they understand that we're looking to do this and to get back to them on that. So that's one point that we still have to address. But hopefully then they'll give us the okay to move forward with at least clearing out some of those trees to enlarge the parking and maybe even give us permission to enact some type of parking legislation that we can enforce out there.
So
This sounds like it's not gonna happen before busy season, right?
Well, that's why I'm bringing it up today, because if we can get permission, I've already sent out to get a quote for signs. If we can get permission to move in there soon, it probably won't make another meeting too. So I wanted to talk now because I think it's cars were, when I was there last Friday, there's cars already moving in there.
there's 4.
So I think if we could put on Facebook or social media and get it out there that we're gonna be doing work down there, just so we can get the boulders out, get the signs in, even that will make a difference with
Yeah,
that.
because some of the bollards, I was down there on Monday, by the way, and some of the bollards are damaged.
Yeah, there's, I think 7. So we're gonna need more. I don't even know where to get them. So that's another thing. And I don't know the cost because there's only, I think, 2,000 in the boat launch budget.
Original.
So, yeah.
Any work that's not done in the next 2 weeks won't get done until after Thanksgiving.
So,
And in order to enable some of that work, the signage that whatever signage we can find, we've got an inventory or that we can get in quickly and get bollards laid out is gonna draw resources away from things like grading our roads, just so that everybody understands that when we pull resources from one, we've got to put them in another, and we're down 2 bodies right now on roads as well. So that creates a little bit of a challenge for us, and we're gonna do what we can to mitigate some of the problems between now and the 24th. But I can guarantee you, we're not gonna get to the resolution before the 24th. I think we've talked about relocating some trailers that are there, that have been there, we know have been there for an extended period of time, into an area that we've discussed. We're not supposed to put them there yet, but we're gonna go ahead and put them there anyway. It just gives us a chance to kind of clean that area up and give the residents and a better chance to be able to get in there and use the property and know they've got parking when they get there.
Another issue that is happening too, and is, well, when we were there, there's a bike in the bush up there. There is a boat that's upside down in the bush, and then there's all these trailers. But also that we were told that some of the trailers that are left there all summer are road access property owner trailers, which they pay taxes to, but it takes up space for our 102 water access properties that need a place to store.
That's where I
them.
think we gotta work with Elka and try to get them to
and
gently persuade these people not.
Yes, they store boats here in the winter time too, and that's another thing. That comes with that parking bylaw, but that's just something to keep in mind. We also went into the boat houses. And Mike went back down on Monday and put locks on 3 of them that are no longer being used. So we have to decide at some point when we talk about that, but that'll come back as a report.
We still don't know who owns those 3.
Well,
Nobody signed
so
this for
what,
them?
2 were given up. They didn't want to sign the agreements and pay for them, so 2 were given up. 1 has to come down for sure. It's in terrible shape. They're all a hazard. Mine was 3. So, and in Mike's mind, he's the building inspector. He looked at them too. He's like, no, there's
No hope.
there's no hope. Like the one had holes in it and there's boards on top. The other one's falling into the other one. So he went down and he did put locks on them. So
The one that we don't control is in very bad shape too.
it's right in the water. Yeah.
Has a permit supposedly with the MNR,
Yes.
and it's as bad as the other 3, worse than a couple of them.
Yeah, it could definitely use some work too. But that's what they would all.
And that was a year ago. I haven't been there for a year, so
And we own these boathouses?
no.
Oh, okay.
Well, they're on our shore road allowance.
We're on our shore with them.
And we have agreements with 2 of the owners of the boathouses to put their boathouses there. So 3 are unclaimed at this point. So they're technically on our boat allowance unclaimed, so
So what had happened
they're not in agreement.
is it came to my attention that we had some boathouses on municipal road allowance, on I think shore allowance, that had no agreements with the municipality. They were just there. And by virtue of being there, created a municipal liability. So if anyone got hurt in them, there's chances. So we went last year, I believe it was, and worked with our legal team and council and come up with a way that we could allow those to continue their use, subject to them entering into an agreement and paying a fee. And that absolved us then of any legal liability associated with those buildings falling down on their head or their neighbor's head or their friend's head. Not our problem. A couple of the owners never did sign them. So I'm assuming those owners have given up their right
They
to
signed
that.
off on them, like,
to that completely. And is the third one that somebody has,
two of them have signed agreements with us,
and three of them are falling down.
and three of them are following.
So the three that are falling down aren't the two we have agreements with.
Right.
So the question is, do we allow that use to continue in another form with another individual? Or do we get them the heck out of there now while we can and be done with it? I understand that parking is a huge issue on the lake, and having access to something like that might be valuable to people on the lake. But that's not my position to make the decisions. The decision was made last year that we would continue to allow the ones that were there to exist, that the owners would have to sign in an agreement with us, indemnifying us and paying us a fee. That fee included recovery costs of the legal agreement that we created. So we have three of them that we've never recovered those costs on. And the question is, do we leave them sit? Or do we let them come down and haul them off to the landfills?
But one thing to clear up there, those boathouses were not built on township property or on the township road laws. They predate the township.
Yeah.
They were already there when we became a township,
Long time.
and the M&R issued them permits to put them there. But when we amalgamated, then all the shoreline allowances became property of the township.
And they came with it.
So they are on township property, but they were not built on township property. There's a little difference.
We never gave the permission.
Yes, and we didn't really know they was there.
Not forever. But that's just another, you hear about boathouses and locks on boathouses, you know what that means. But it'll come back in the formal report of some sort.
So now the people in Ayla Lake, are they aware that the availability of these boathouses? Because
But how do you choose?
No.
We haven't made them available, Sean.
We've not made them available. We've not publicized it.
okay,
The
no,
five that were there with existing owners.
Sort of grandfather.
We were just clearing up any issues of liability for the municipality, because there was a cost to create the agreement. We said you need to pay us a fee. And also gave us the right to have our inspector go on the property to make sure that they were fit. And any repairs would have to be done under a legal non-conforming use. And they'd need building permits to do any renovations to them.
It's my understanding that the M&R was still collecting a fee long after the township actually owned the property.
Yeah, who, us? No.
No, from the
From the
boat operators.
well,
So it's a little complicated.
yeah, okay, all right.
Anybody have any other questions of Tracy?
I do one. So now we can show an initiative, right, about what's gonna happen. You're gonna do a Facebook thing and post it on our,
For the boat launch stuff,
for the roll on stuff. yes.
when that time comes, it won't be, we're gonna have the conversations with Elka and see what M&R enough, if we get that permission, but it won't be anytime. Like tomorrow or anything, next week, because we have to wait for permission from M&R to proceed.
Okay.
And
Just-
whether,
Just to
whether.
show people that we're actually. doing
Yeah, no, I
that.
think it's important to get staff out there and get the foliage down where we can and try and get some of that cleaned up
It
immediately.
definitely needs.
And everything else will have to just kind of come as quick as we can get approvals to do it. And that may actually involve a switch from an MOU back to a land use permit. I'll wait and see what Grace tells me.
There's a kiosk, the Ontario Park sign still there, or Algonquin Park sign, there's kiosk still there, so. We have to go address that as well to see if
Yeah, 'cause I'm not
Ontario
sure
Parks even.
M&R that owns actually where they are.
Yeah, yes. And, yeah, so we can get in there, there's chairs up there, that could be, I think they've been there all winter. It just needs to clean up, it needs something.
And the washroom, we maintain those washrooms or that?
That washroom, yes, and I believe that, there's been money put aside in the budget to fix that ramp, because it's in bad shape.
Well, yeah, because it looks like there's grass growing on it.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
There's
Yeah,
not,
all of those outhouses will have to be addressed
Yes.
probably next year, because none of them conform to the AODA built standard. And we're required to be compliant by next year. So there may be some investment in some of those outhouses next year as part of our budget considerations.
Hmm. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, if we can move on. I'll just give a bit of a council report. Councillor Pija, employee David Dupuy and myself attended the OBRA convention in Toronto. There's a lot of information to absorb. I'm still getting probably 8-10 emails a day from the displays that where we visited, asking us for more information or wanting us to spend money, basically. Employee David Dupuy thanked me profusely for allowing him to attend. He got a lot of information. I'm sure he's probably sharing some of that information with Brian.
He actually made a report, which I forwarded to Carla.
Yeah, it didn't make the package this week, so it'll be in your next package. That'll come out to you, his report from his attendance.
I was very glad that an employee was there because sometimes there was multiple seminars on at the same time. So we had to pick and choose which one we were going to, and it was great to have an employee there because a lot of it was based to employees rather than to the politicians. So there was a lot of information there for everybody. And there's I'm not sure who all is going, but I know numerous councillors are going to the Phnom conference next week. I've been to it before, and there's a lot of good information there as well.
Could I add to your comment?
Sure.
Yes, because there's so much going on all at the same time at this conference. What we would do in the morning is we would go through the itinerary of what was going on, and we would pick and choose. We would split off because it was just so much happening at the same time, right? But there were things that were more relevant to Joe and I than would be to when David was there. So, and there was a lot of safety issues, there was a lot of back road stuff that was more for him, right? So I strongly suggest that next year that somebody from the Works Department, right, should go and attend this.
Normally, I think the work superintendent would be going to it. And I think he has in the past. All in all, there's a ton of information there.
Yeah.
It's gonna take a while to.
It's still overwhelming, yeah, for sure.
I think I collected 36 pens.
I got one out of the hotel room.
Okay, if we can move on to business arising from the minutes. Does anybody have anything? Nothing? Correspondent action items, there are none. And correspondence for information. There's the information that we've already received. No, I guess we didn't receive that, but there's the budgetary control. And does anybody have any questions or anything to that? Don't see any. The next one is the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing, helping home buyers, protecting tenants act. Nobody has anything on that. And the next one is the MECP, Provincial Day of Action on Litter. And are we declaring that day? I believe there's a resolution. I thought I seen something.
No, we just put that on our website is what we did that one.
Okay, I see a lot of the school kids have been participating in litter pickup in our township and in other townships. Kids are really good at it. They get out of school for a half a day and they go and pick up those. It's a win-win for everybody involved.
I know in the past, there's been some major dumping along Old Highway 127 Poverty. Between garbage, poles, ash to fish carcasses and guts that obviously they prefer to dump them there than to take them to the dump. I don't see any signs anywhere. And I just, it's amazing. I'm sure I could probably spend a full week and not get all the garbage on a given basis along that road. So
It's a problem on every one of our roads, and really I can't understand it because there's almost nothing that we charge for to be dumped in the dump, other than mattresses and furnitures with steel springs and that in it. And by the way, for Brian Ackley's information, predecessor, Dave, was supposed to pick up some mattresses. And they're still in the bush. In fact, the pile has been added to. And it's in where the problem with the trailers on, it's in the same area. I think now, the last time I was there was 5 mattresses there. Okay,
Is there anything that we could do as a township in regards to those things, or?
other than just posting on our site for public awareness, I don't know what else we can do. It's mostly being dumped on Crown land, so it's an M&R problem, I would think.
It's
And
crazy.
conservation officers can and should respond to it. And in fact, they encourage people to call their tips line. And I would suggest that everybody make use of that.
Anything occurring on Crown lands, I spoke with Adam Worth last week, who's overseeing Bancroft right now about issues we're having in 523. And he was very clear, any and all complaints related to Crown property, call the M&R's line. They've got a process in place for which they're supposed to be following. So, and they have service level standards, they're supposed to be targets they're supposed to be meeting. So when you have complaints related to them, please tell your residents, call this number. And make sure that they call and they call and they call, because obviously the message isn't getting clearly through in some levels of the province.
That's something we can put in a newsletter, and there's one going out here shortly.
There seems to be a couple of standards. Because I'm a member of the Ontario Federation of Anglers and Hunters, and I seen a notice in there where a hunter was charged in Northern Ontario for leaving his moose camp up 2 weeks after the season ended. Was charged $2,500 for overextending his stay on Crown land, and yet they completely ignore 50 or 60 trailers on Bark Lake. Like, there should be only one law in Ontario. Brian, you had a comment?
Just to follow up on your comment about last year and the mattresses. I'm positive that the former work superintendent called them in our line because we didn't see any response for quite a while after we placed the call. So I'm positive that we did report that. Just refresh me where that is and I can have our guys going with the 1 ton and clean it up. The other reminder is right now for the next 8 weeks, our dumps are open Saturdays 8 till 3:30. And that's our spring cleanup. So there's no excuse for people to be dumping. In the past, we used to get tires because there were issues with tires on rims and things. We used to have at the Algonquin Street Bridge, we pulled 3 washing machines out of the river there over the years. So I mean, it's not a new problem, but our dumps are open. They're open Wednesday, Saturday, Sundays. It's cleanup week through the next 8 weeks. There's no excuse for people to do it.
In this particular case, Brian, the one that the former employee Dave responded to, the people refused to pay the fee at the dump and they left with the mattresses. So it was very easy. The mattresses were very distinctive. And when reported back to Dave, we checked with the dump. We know exactly who it was that dumped it there. But and it was reported to the M&R and the M&R didn't do anything.
$5 for a mattress is very expensive. I mean, you go to other sites. Our fees and council is worked hard at that over the years to keep the cost of residents down. So I mean, there's no.
No, you're right. Okay, we'll move on to motions of council. I need a mover and a seconder. I'll read the motion and then ask for the mover. Council for the Corporation of Township of South Algonquin award the tender received from Miller Paving Limited for tender 2023-02 supply and application of liquid calcium in the amount of $67,365, including HST. Can I have a mover? Councillor Pijot.
Everybody's like still in shock. I could hear both of these going, oh my
Go,
God. I'll second
Seconder,
it.
Councillor Kuyak. Is there any discussion?
Price has really gone up.
What was it in the past, may I ask?
I think it's went up, what, about 10,000? Was it? Oh, was it that much? I'd have to look.
I think it was about 9.
Was it 9? Yeah.
$9,000.
From last year. Wow. Now, because we paved Inland Lake Road, was it more expensive before?
Probably about the same.
We didn't
Because you
use as
get-
much.
Yeah.
Actually, that's only like what, 6 or 7%. That's really not bad considering the overall rate of inflation for the last year.
And cost of fuel.
I think bulk road salt was around $98 a metric ton last year. It's $116.88. So comparable pricing.
Even after that motion.
Any other
Thanks
discussion?
for the information.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Carried. The next motion is the Council for the Corporation of the Township of South Algonquin agrees to allow the South Algonquin Business Alliance to place QR codes on the Township of South Algonquin wayfinding maps, provided that there is no cost to the township and the township is able to approve the QR signs and location on the maps. Can I have a mover? Councillor Pijot, seconded by Councillor Collins. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried. Next motion is that Council for the Corporation of the Township of South Algonquin agrees to allow the South Algonquin Business Alliance to let one member of SABA sit on the Economic Development Committee. Can I have a mover? Councillor Sidoc,
And also,
and seconded by Councillor Pijot. Is there any discussion?
I guess I should have brought this forward when we got new correspondence. I received an email from SABA regarding this, what the Economic Development Committee was going to be doing. What I'll do is I'll print off this email that was addressed directly to me. And so we can have some discussion because I don't know how to move forward with what they're asking. And it's for me to be educated. I have to be educated in the position that I am in.
We can sit down together.
Perfect, thank you.
I also got an email directed to me from Saba asking for some financial information, which I've passed on to the CEO. And in hindsight, I'm not so sure it was so much of an ask, but a scolding. Just bringing the amount of the contribution to my attention. We didn't vote on that yet, did we?
No.
All in favor? Carried. The next one is Council for the Corporation Township of South Algonquin accepts the recommendation of the Recreation Committee and the Library Board and approve the application received from Ayla Overy McComb to become a volunteer for the Whitney Recreation Committee and the Library. I need a mover.
I can move that.
Councillor Sidoc, seconded by Councillor Collins. Any discussion? All in favor? Against?
Oh, no, sorry. I'm sort of slow in my response.
Carried. Next one, Council for the Corporation of Township of South Algonquin authorizes staff to proceed with a private road agreement with the property owners of concession 3, lot 16, part lot 15. Whatever REM stands for, parcel 11943, Erie Ward, for the purpose of a private driveway on an unopened road allowance between concession 2 and concession 3. I need a mover. Councillor Collins, seconded. Councillor Kuyak. Any discussion? I think this is the one that we discussed in the
That's correct.
meeting.
Yeah.
All in favor? Carried. That council for the corporation of the township of South Algonquin authorizes staff to proceed with the application received for the purchase of the unopened shore road allowance in front of Plan M220 Lot 48, Erie Ward, locally known as 54 Ottawa Street, adjacent to Tulare Lake. I need a mover, Councillor Sidoff, seconded by Councillor Kuyak. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried. Getting my pages mixed up.
Week,
Pardon me?
EP week.
That council for the corporation of the township of South Algonquin proclaim May 7th to May 13th, 2023 as emergency preparedness week. I need a mover. Councillor Rodnick, seconded by Councillor Collins. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried. Are there any notices of motion? No, so then we have bylaws. And do you read the bylaws, Karen?
I can,
Or do you-
you know, mover and a seconder.
I'll move.
Second. Moved by Councillor Florence, seconded by Councillor Sidock. Bylaw 2023-749, tax capping options. Bylaw 2023-750, repeal bylaw 2023-740. Bylaw 2023-751, confirm the proceedings of council, be read a first time and be deemed read a second time.
No, there's no discussion. There's discussions. All in favor? Carried.
Mover and a seconder for the third reading.
I'll move it.
Seconded. Councillor Collins, Councillor Rodnick.
Moved by Councillor Collins, seconded by Councillor Rodnick. Bylaw 2023-749, tax capping options. Bylaw 2023-750, repeal bylaw 2023-740. Bylaw 2023-751, confirm the proceedings of council.
Any discussion? Favor? Carried.
Deemed read a third time it passed.
Okay, now we have a resolution to move into closed session. Council for the Corporation of the Township of South Algonquin moved into closed session in accordance with the Ontario Municipal Act Part 6 S 239. 2B, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, personal matters. Need a mover?
At 11:07.
Councillor Rodnick. And who was that seconded by? Councillor Collins.